With the party's primaries coming less than 48 hours, the destiny of Nigerians lay in the hands of few Nigerians called delegates. Yet again, we bring you national talk on your screen from our studio here at ECWA Television Africa. Glad you could join us. I am Lois Turaki and I have Sele Elisha Dashom with me. Together with her guest, they shall be discussing on tonight's topic later on the show. Good evening, Sele.
Evening, Lois.
How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. And you?
I'm fine. Don't forget, we are live on Facebook, YouTube at ECWA Television. You can send us your comments and call us on the show at 1:30. Let's hear your thoughts. We the issue of delegates. As readiness for 2023 general election in Nigeria intensifies, political parties are anticipated to complete the conduct of their primaries ahead of June 3rd, deadline given to them by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for submission of candidates. Especially in the two leading parties, All Progressives Congress, APC, and the People's Democratic Party, PDP, are supposed to be keenly contested among the leading aspirants, partly due to the winner takes all kind of politics played in Nigeria. Over the past few days and still ahead, a small fraction of Nigerians called Party Delegates are having the great task of selecting who will occupy elective political posts in the country after the next election cycle, including perhaps the most key of those positions, that of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And yet, Nigeria is supposed to be a democracy, a system of government for the people, by the people, supported by the cardinal principle of one man, one vote, except that through a rather self-serving party structure put together by the country's politicians, some votes now matter more than others, those of delegates. While it is true that in order to avoid chaos, political parties must find a structured way to choose their party flag bearers, the current system used by the leading political parties in Nigeria does not inspire internal party democracy. So even membership of the two leading parties in Nigeria, the ruling All Progressives Congress and the APC, and the major opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, does not promise that one will have a say in deciding who represents one's party at the polls. Those choices will be taken for party members and therefore, by extension, the rest of Nigeria's citizens by what we call the mighty delegates. Who is a party delegate? A delegate is a person selected to represent a group of people in some political assembly. There are various types of delegates elected to different political bodies. How delegates are selected? In Nigeria, there are two types of delegates, the ad hoc and the statutory. The ad hoc delegates are selected by holding congresses in the wards across the country. The process includes party members selecting people who will vote on their behalf in the party's governorship or presidential primary election. The two major parties, the PDP and the APC, have concluded congresses to elect their ad hoc delegates, although several of the congresses are said to be controversial. In most cases, the National Executive Committees, NECs, the highest organ of political parties, regulate the mode of these congresses. After the delegates are picked, a convention is held to allow them resolve on who will fly the party's gubernatorial or presidential flag. However, there are statutory delegates who some people call automatic delegates. They are party members who presently serve in public offices holders, ward councillors, local government chairmen and their deputies or vices, and political party chairmen in all the 774 local government areas. Others are current and former presidents, governors, deputy governors, as well as members of the National and State House of Assembly. Only the 5 delegates elected from each ward for the state congresses will vote, elect governors, senators, House of Representatives, and State House of Assembly members for the APC. For PDP, it will be the 3 delegates elected from each ward. Reasons for different number of delegates in different states. According to the 2022 Electoral Act as amended, these delegates emerge from internal elections of the party conducted in each of the local governments participated by the members of the party. If it is for presidential primaries, the Electoral College, that the delegate list comprises ad hoc delegates across the local governments in the country. For the governorship primaries, the Electoral College, that delegates list, comprises ad hoc delegates elected across the wards in the states. That is, based on the specified number in the party's constitution or guidelines, multiplied by the number of local government that exists in each state. This also includes that the delegates list will not be overcrowded, since the super or statutory delegates will not be allowed to vote. For example, presently in the PDP in Lagos State, only one delegate is authorized from each of the 20 local government areas plus one physically challenged individual, meaning that the state will have 21 elected delegates for the primaries. Likewise, the APC guidelines in Lagos State permit 3 ad hoc national delegates from each local government for the presidential primaries. Lagos has 20 local governments. This means that the total number of delegates that will partake in their presidential primaries will be 60 from Lagos. States with more local governments, such as Kano, will have more delegates. This also indicates that the delegates list will not be overcrowded, since the super or statutory delegates will not be allowed to vote. Here's an analysis. In the midst of controversy that has aroused the polity over the National Assembly amendment of the 2022 Electoral Act to accommodate statutory delegates from voting in the primaries, experts say that the idea of statutory delegates is undemocratic and is not known in advanced democracy. According to a political analyst and scholar, he said the idea of a statutory delegate was wrong, stressing that in the Western countries, statutory delegates do not take part in the process because the members of the parties had already given their voting right to the ad hoc delegates whom they voted for in special congress or election to choose the party's candidates. The statutory delegates in a sane climate ought not to participate in the process for the sake of prudence, avoidance of money bags, corruption, and credibility. The ad hoc delegates should only be allowed to choose who will fly the party's ticket in an electoral college. Why picking of statutory delegate is contentious? The 2022 amended Electoral Act signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari lately prevents statutory delegates from taking part in party primaries. According to Section 84, subsection 8 of the Electoral Amendment Act, a political party that adopts indirect primaries for the election of its candidates shall clearly outline in its constitution and rules the procedure for the democratic election of delegates. According to the Act, the delegates are to vote at the convention, congress, or meeting in addition to statutory delegates already prescribed in the constitution of the party. Therefore, to change the situation ahead of the primaries, the National Assembly, the Senate, and the House of Representatives last week in an emergency session quickly moved to amend Sections 84, subsection 8 of the 2022 Electoral Act to permit statutory delegates participate and vote in party conventions, congresses, and meetings. The lawmakers said the original provision, which allowed only elected delegates of a party to participate in conventions and congresses, was an error. However, in the last few days, the refusal of President Buhari to sign the Amendment Electoral Act has continued to cause waves in polity ahead of the party primaries. In theory, some level of democracy exists in the way these delegates emerge. There are 2 categories: those that are elected and those that are automatic delegates. The latter are political office holders who are card-carrying members of their political parties, and the former are picked through elections conducted by party officials at ward level. Already, the conduct of some ward congresses has been cautioned. In Borno State, for instance, Mrs. Aisha Umar, contesting for the Jere Federal Constituency House of Representatives, has written a petition to the leadership of the APC, alleging that no elections occurred and that under the guise of consensus, the party leadership in Jere, in total disregard for party guidelines and basic procedures for electoral contests, is seeking to impose a unilateral compiled list of delegates. Every 4 years, we witness the display of a sham of democracy among political parties when in reality, a handful of people made up of governors, party officials and political godfathers determine who ends up as party delegates. And these are not just issues that concern the fate of political parties at the polls, they impact all Nigerians. The failure to enshrine internal party democracy and party delegates are elected has had an enormous impact on the quality of elected political leaders in Nigeria at all levels. There is little doubt that the country suffers from a leadership deficit and has done so for some time. The electoral process, which begins at party levels, throw up candidates without the necessary skills and character to lead at national, state and local government level with terrible consequences for the country. By the time Nigerians get to the polls, they are often asked to choose between the devil and the deep blue sea. Isn't that much of a choice, truth be told? And that's why tonight we ask, is it fair? Looking at the population of Nigeria of about 215,805,443 as of Thursday, May 26, 2022, with a total number of 66 million voters, eligible voters, compared to 7,800 delegates from the APC and 3,700 delegates from the opposition party, PDP. Are this enough to determine who emerges? Are we talking about fighting corruption? But we have seen how monies and gift items are being given to these delegates. Are candidates buying or appreciating them? Are they getting qualified people, or is it the highest bidder? Should we continue like this as a country, and where are we headed? Remember, we are live on Facebook, YouTube at ECWA Television. You can send us your comments. We would like to know what you think about all these questions. Call us on the show at 1:30. Let's hear your thoughts. As right now, I hand over to Sele as she discusses more with her guest. Sele, over to you.
Thank you so much, Lois, for that beautiful preamble you've actually said. And I wish you a blessed weekend ahead. Well, to our viewers, we should take a break where I will be inviting our guests, and together we'll be discussing elaborately concerning the issue of the delegates and what your views are concerning all these topics. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break.
ECWA TV Africa keeps you lifted 24/7. Fixes your day and makes it fulfilled with messages of hope and salvation.
Sin and the devil, they always work hand in hand together.
Christ too, and the ministry of the Lord also will be promoted.
This aspect of David's experience we read in our passage of consideration brings this situation very near to ours.
He is majestic in holiness. Praise the Lord.
Groundbreaking shows for every life situation.
Parents don't tell lies, because that's always a problem.
But in the north, we have abandoned education.
If you ask me to do anything for Nigeria, please equip me.
It feels great being on never-ending platform.
Heaven gifted songs to lift your spirit up, pull you out of worry, fear, sadness, and even depression. Keep watching ECWA TV Africa. Follow us on all our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the notification button to keep up with our activities.
If you're just joining us, the program still is National Talk on ECWA Television Africa, and I am your host, Sele Elisha Dashon. Before we went on that break, I told you I'll be joined by someone very special, the guest, and together we shall be deliberating on the topic. And the topic for today is the fate of Nigerians in the hands of delegates. And that is with a question mark, because some people, you might actually think it like a statement, but this is a question. Now we know that over the few days coming, the fate of Nigerians will be determined by a few minority called the delegates. Now, is it fair that our fate will be determined by these delegates? Because this is like choosing between the devil and the dipsy. Well, as I said, I'm not alone. I'll be joined by a guest, and he is in the person of a legal practitioner, Polycarp Datal. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Exactly. Now let's move straight to the topic at hand. In the next few days, we shall be experiencing the primaries. And possibly this is being determined by a few minority called the delegates. Now, while we're building the preambles, Lois asked a question, and I would like us to start with that question.
Okay.
Is it fair that the fate of Nigerians will be determined by these delegates?
I think it's a bit unfair on the delegates themselves. Let me start from there to stare what they say, the honest nest. Delegates are members of political parties. The Constitution provides that before you can contest an election, you must be a member of a political party, meaning that you must be sponsored by that political party, meaning that there are no independent candidates, right? So if you appreciate the spirit of what is called a political party, because a political party is like a voluntary organization. So those who join a political party are members of that party, and they are guided by the rules, the Constitution, and the guidelines of that political party. So they have the right, as members of that political party, to decide who carries or who bears their flag, so to say. Meaning that the political party, the members of the political party, should decide who represents them in an election, right? And the Constitution provides that you must be sponsored, and the Electoral Act 2022 makes it mandatory the procedure by which any person or any aspirant can emerge as a candidate of a political party, meaning that there must be a primary election before anybody can be on the ballot, before any political party can be on the ballot. And the Electoral Act provides for 3 options. You either do direct primaries, indirect primaries, or you adopt consensus. If it is direct primaries, members of that political party are supposed to congregate, depending on the provisions of the guidelines, and vote for candidates, of their choice. And if it is indirect, the Electoral Act Section 84 sub 8 makes it mandatory that those who will vote at the indirect primaries must be delegates who have emerged through an election, meaning that the members of the political party will congregate at the ward level to choose people who will represent them. So the question I want to turn back the question: where would Nigerians say that their fate is in the hands of delegates? Because delegates are members of political parties. So if you want to influence the process, get involved in a political party. You can't sit in the comfort of your house and begin to expect that those who are actively involved should bring out the person that you want. If you want a particular kind of leadership, you should get involved in political parties so that you influence those who emerge as candidates for the various political parties.
But we're not even aware of who these delegates are, because quote and in quote, these delegates are more like faceless people, because very few people, just like you stated clearly, that if you want to know, get involved in politics.
Yes.
But very few people are involved, and our fate is determined by these faceless people that we're not aware of.
Okay.
So definitely it seems like actually handing over your future to people you're not even aware of, looking at the fact that they have chosen the indirect, even though people have come out with the basics that the superstar or the super delegates per se actually step on their toe by themselves, because they did not know that that electoral act they actually quoted would stand against them. And it's just like the president is trying to give them back their words, because after he fought with them to remove the subsection 12 and they refused, he has also refused to do something about that. So it's more like we're giving an unknown, or we've been having issues with unknown gunmen,
delegates, right?
And we're having unknown delegates because we do not know who these people are. And we are hoping and trusting that when they go to the polls to elect whoever stands to be the flag bearer for especially the 2 parties we're looking at, APC and PDP, when they go there, we're trusting them to do the right thing. And very few of them are even aware of who the people are and the intrigues of what it involves. So possibly it's being unfair on Nigerians that we are trusting them to do the right thing when they get to the polls there.
There's this song that I remember when we were young that says, everybody knows the thing that everybody should do, but nobody wants to do that thing because you are expecting somebody is doing that thing. Go and do it. Get involved. That's the perspective from which I want to come from. To stir up the people. Look, if you feel that the persons who emerge generally in primary elections are not the kind or types of people that you want, then get involved in a political party. It's as simple as that. That's the point I'm trying to make. Meaning that members of political parties have the right to decide those who will carry their flag. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm saying it against the backdrop of the history of the evolution of the political party system. Right? The political party is an organism. It's organic. That's why you have different platforms. That's why you have different, what they call manifesto. This is what we want to do for the people. So if you feel that you should be involved in that process of election, then register and be a member of a political party so that you can also contest to be a delegate and be involved in the process of deciding those who bear the flag. You see, up until now, as far as early as 2002, I think the 1998, of course, the 2002 Act and 2006 Act, political parties have unfettered powers to decide who bears or who carries their flag or who emerges as their candidate. It is, I think it was just in the 2010 Act that now gives courts some level of jurisdiction to be able to interfere and meddle into what is called domestic issues of political parties. They are called domestic issues of political questions. You can't decide for your political party who to sponsor. You understand? So if you want, and there are so many political parties who operate a multi-party system, meaning that if the two, what we call the two dominant parties, the APC and the PDP, if you feel that if they bring out a candidate and you think that candidate is not the type of candidate you want, you vote. There are so many other political parties. That's the point I'm trying to make. There are so many other political parties.
So you can choose whichever party that is suitable to you.
My angle, the point I'm trying to make is that Nigerian voters who are almost 70 million people should not sit in the comfort of their homes and begin to get angry over activities in political parties while they have refused to get involved. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to stir people up. To say, if we don't like the kind of people that emerge from party primaries or political parties, let's get involved and be members of political parties. That's what I'm saying.
And change the narrative.
That's what
it's saying. So now, if you're saying we need to get involved, or Nigerians need to be actively involved to change the narrative, now what are the criteria possibly now that the delegates, that's the super delegates, chose or used rather to select these ad hoc delegates? Because if you should ask any normal Nigerian, they will tell you they are not sure these delegates know the huge responsibility that is on them for the next less than 48 hours that we have right now. Are we sure that they really know how important the responsibility been startled on them? Are they really capable of taking out? Because presently, yes, if you want to change the narrative, join it, but as it is already, we have to take the bull by the horn presently right now. So how do we go about the situation presently?
Well, it's sad that the electoral process has been monetized, and members of political parties or delegates who go to vote at conventions get induced. Some are induced by money, some do it under duress, some are threatened and all that. And it's an electoral offense. The Electoral Act provides certain sections like 121, 127 and 128. And the offenses, if you collect money, you allow yourself to be influenced, the person who gives and the person who takes, you are liable. And the Independent National Commission is empowered by law to arrest and prosecute. Whether the commission has the ability to be able to enforce and diligently prosecute is another thing entirely. But there are laws, prohibiting, bribery, threatening, putting persons under duress to vote or refrain from voting. So the laws are there. So the question now is what is the tactics, what's the strategy of preventing that? So I think that if we go back to the Uwais panel, those issues were raised, and it brings up to the 4 issues of sounds stale, but issues of unbundling INEC, having electoral offences commission and all that. And of late, vote buying has become a serious problem in our democracy. So we can't just blame only the delegates, because even the voters too have shown the propensity to want to collect money to vote at the general elections. So what the delegates do is just a representation of what happens also at the polling units, sadly so, where voters receive 1,000 naira, or they are giving kunu or soft drinks,
rappers and
all that to go and vote, regardless of what the party represents. So it's a societal problem, and I have come here to refuse to agree that we should throw all our anger on the delegates, because sadly voters too have been involved in that, and it is sad.
But presently we're faced with trainer garments behind them presently, because we've had all through before this, we've already have numbers of people who pay to delegates, and we do not know, just like you said, it's a sad thing that the delegates are actually turned into money politics, because it's about the highest bidder. If you're able to give me the highest money, then that will determine. But yet, you as a contender, you're not even sure if after giving me the 20 million or after giving me the 50 million, I will give you my vote at the end of the day. We had issue where the federal constituencies, where we had 46 delegates and 4 contenders reportedly paid 20 delegates 5 million naira each, thinking that would be enough to secure their victory. And we had issue where presently the person slumped down after giving just 3 votes. He's in the hospital. Now we can see that they were trusted these delegates with their votes. Now, presently, it is a sad thing that with the issues we're going through in Nigeria, as we're still on strike, our economy is falling down. Our naira has really depreciated. Like, it seems every day our naira is going down. Is it not the responsibility of these delegates to ask these contenders how they came about money? We saw when APC had their form for 100 million naira. Nobody asked, how did you get this money? As a result of being accountable, being credible, because we are after credible leaders. Because for the next 4 years, whatever these delegates choose now is what we are left with, because it's either I go for a rotten banana or a rotten orange. I have no choice, because this is what these delegates have chosen at the end of the day. So I feel, or I think this is what Nigerians will say, that delegates are supposed to be accountable to ask all these contenders coming to meet them, how did you come about this money? We're having these issues in the country. Are you supposed to do something about that?
You see, these delegates are after the interest of their political party. They want
personal interest.
It's not personal. They want their political party to win the general election. What I want listeners or viewers to look at is political parties are voluntary organizations registered by the Constitution. So members of that political party decide who is their candidate for any election.
True.
Right?
True.
So if I'm a member of a political party or a delegate at a convention where we're supposed to hold party primaries for our flag bearers to emerge, they generally look at the interests of their party. Who is that aspirant amongst the array whom when we put on the ballot will win the election for us? It sounds like it's not right. It sounds like it's not fair, but that's what is called the tyranny, the majority rule, the tyranny of the majority. There's this locus classicus in law, the Force versus Habertul, the case of, where shareholders of, let me even use company law. You belong to a company, you have shares in a company, and you go for your annual general meeting, and majority shareholders take a decision. What would the minority do? The best you can do is to go with the decision of the minority. So the majority members of a political party, majority of the members of the political party are those who decide who bears the flag of the political party. If you feel that the members have decided a candidate that you don't like, you have the right to move to another political party or go form your own political party. You understand my point? That's the point I'm trying to make. To say that political parties have the right to, for as long as the person is qualified constitutionally to be on any ballot, have a right to bring out any kind of person. So the political parties sink or swim with their choice. If they decide to bring any type of candidate who is qualified constitutionally, they have a right to do that. So if you feel that Party A and Party B have brought out persons that we think are not credible. Go and work or go and vote for Party C. We have over 60 political parties in Nigeria. That's the point I'm trying to make. We cannot insist that these two political parties must do what we want. They are political parties. If you feel you want to go and change what they do, then join that political party and be involved in the political party.
And change the story.
And change the story. But we can also, the masses too can go and join what is a political party that is termed as unpopular and make it popular.
Well,
because it's a number.
Well, I feel possibly the reason why the population or the masses cannot do, because very few people are educated of what politics is all about. We really need, when it comes to liberation and education, when it comes to what politics is involved, the intrigues of it, how it's being run, how it's being governed. Because I believe that a political party cannot do anything. Individuals make the party move.
Yes.
Because it's more like when decisions are being taken, few individuals, just like say majority, who feel they have the power, who feel they have the money, who feel they have invested so much in this party, they influence what takes place. Because party cannot start moving. The individuals in the party make it active, make it alive. So I believe that we have to come to that place where you were saying you were not happy with something, change the narrative. Maybe possibly that's why we have the likes of Peter Obi, who dropped from the PDP and felt something was not right over there, and is still, couching for the party that he feels he can make the whatever decision, or he feels he can actually make it alive, or he can change whatever is there. But the question, or what I think Nigerians need to come to understand, is the fact that yes, we're not happy with the narrative, we want to change it, but how can we go about it? Yeah. The education needs to be there.
Yeah.
So
that's why I've refused to lament. I've refused to say, these delegates are bad people. If they are bad people, let those who are the good people who are out there come and join the political parties and become delegates. You understand my point? I'm trying to push the issue. I don't want to repeat, that stale lamentation of where people just talk and more like being armchair critics. I'm saying that our listeners, our viewers, who feel they have something to offer in politics. We grew up with this mentality that politics is a dirty game. And then there's also the issue of the arrogance of the intellectuals. Those who are intellectuals who feel that politics is for thugs and those who have nothing to offer. And they rather just sit in the comfort of their homes and begin to throw tantrums and say bad things about those who are on the field. The challenge, as far as I'm concerned, this evening and in this period, in this country, is that those who feel they are better off or who have something to offer should please stand up and get involved. We're tired of talking. We're tired of lamenting. If the delegates go there and collect money and sell what we think is their right, why are those people who would not be bribed, who refuse to collect money? Where are they? What are they doing? Why are they not in those political parties? Right? If I feel I can be a better delegate, I can go there and vote conscientiously and be sincere and patriotic in my choice of who represents me in my political party. Then I have no reason sitting at home. I have no reason sitting at home. I should be involved. The Constitution allows every Nigerian
to be actively involved,
to freely associate. We have a freedom of association. You can belong to any political party of your choice. There are over 60 political parties that are registered. If you feel that even those 60 are not good for you, you can put your heads together, mobilize. We have social media platforms where it's a lot easier to organize now and get involved. That's all I'm trying to say. That's the point I want to stress. To say that if these delegates or the process we feel is flawed and it has been monetized, someone said financialized. I was impressed by that. We need to do something about it, and all those who are listening must get involved. If it doesn't bother you, then stay at home. But if it bothers you, get involved. That's what I'm saying.
Well, if it bothers you, get involved.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to take a break where I'll open our phone lines for our callers. And also remember, we're live on Facebook and also on YouTube. So you can be actively involved in this conversation and drop your comment on what do you feel? How can you change the narrative in your own little way and not just sit back and lament? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this timeout.
Sorry, Abu.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's still National Talk. We're live on Facebook and also on YouTube. And this is the time where we open the phone lines for callers. Our numbers are displayed on your screen, so you can call us and let us know what are your views, what are your thoughts concerning if truly our fate is being determined by this delegate, and what can we do to change the narrative. It's not about lamenting. I've always said this on the show. You can write as much as you want. You can pray as much as you want. You can go to social media and keep talking. But talk is cheap if you do not stand up and be actively involved and change whatever is happening. I'm still Sarah Elisha, and I have the legal practitioner with me, Polycarp Detal. Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so before we went on that break to open the phone line where our callers can be actively involved, we're looking at changing the narrative and not being happy. And the fact that we say most of these ACOG delegates, especially, they are from the rural areas that are not knowledgeable about things that are happening. Even if they are knowledgeable about what is happening, they do not know how the importance or how severe it is. And I make mention of the fact that we have our Naira going down. ASU is still on strike. The same money is not in circulation, but we're seeing millions and dollars being paid to people. So in fact, it has been said that the reason why maybe dollar is high is because of the rate at which it's being used interchangeably as a result of, will I say, bribing them or appreciating the delegates. Well, it's left for them whether they are being appreciated or they are being bribed. But the question still here, or the point of contention here, is still the fact that I spoke about education. You cannot be involved in something you're not knowledgeable about. You can only have the knowledge of what politics is. You can only have the knowledge of what it means to change. And I mentioned the fact that parties cannot move. The individuals in the parties make it active. They make it move. But the way things are looking, it seems the individual is bigger than the party, because I believe the party has a say in whatever is being done. But it seems as if the reverse is the case presently, because individuals have more power presently than the parties. We've had people saying that possibly the governors of the state can even influence these delegates to tell them what to do when they go over there. So what do you think, or the place of knowledge, education in this place, so we stop lamenting and actually get involved in changing whatever is happening, because we still have the time to do that. Elections have not started. I believe we can still change it. We can still do something active, something important to change the way things are moving presently.
There are a number of trends that, have been thrown up, and quite clear that delegates are chosen, unfortunately, not to think. They're chosen to go and act on behalf of a certain group, on behalf of members of political parties. And party leaders have a strong hold on the people who emerge, or those who emerge as candidates. That's a sad reality. That's the way political systems operate, whether it's in the UK or US or Western world, where those who are leaders are the ones who, to a large extent, influence the activities of their members and even those who emerge as flag bearers of their parties. You can't expect someone who has put in his time, resources, and energy in building a political party to sit on his hands when the time comes for determining flag bearers. You understand my point?
True.
So the point I'm trying to make is that those who run, or those who are involved in political parties, are seen as owners or shareholders because they have interest. What they call in political parlance, these are people who have paid their dues. So people who have paid their dues in political parties tend to have overbearing influence over the members, the process by which delegates emerge, and even candidates. In fact, that is why in 2010, in the 2010 Electoral Act, and as amended 2015, and even this 2022 Act, certain sections were introduced to curb the arbitrary powers of party lords and party leaders. Before now, a political party could decide to just not even conduct any primary election. Just pick anybody,
Present.
Sorry,
okay. I have to interrupt you. We have a caller. Hello, Francisca. Good evening. Please go on with your comment. You have 30 seconds because other callers are waiting to give their views.
Thank you, ma. What I want to say is that some people are ready to come up for that seat, but due to lack of money, they are not able to get to that level. And all these people that are helping them to get that seat, they are not ready to help them because they feel that they are very poor or they don't have what it takes to get there. But when maybe they are not financially okay to get there, or they have the wisdom to stay. But we Nigerians, we only look up to people who are rich, who have the money already, who are already made. But they are not ready to make people to help our country.
Thank you, Francisca, for that question or comment or contribution.
Yeah,
possibly.
Can I?
You can go on, sir.
Okay, just like I was saying, I would tie what I was trying to say with what she just said. To now say that party leaders were so powerful that they could decide to just exclude any party member from getting involved in the process. In fact, they might even conduct a primary election. A candidate will emerge, but they will decide not to forward the name of the winner to the Independent National Electoral Commission. So there have been new innovations. Before now, the arbitrary powers were just so enormous that party leaders could do anything and get away with it. You take them to court, the court will say, we don't have any business in deciding your affair because you are voluntary organizations. Why should we be involved in deciding who emerges as your candidate? If you bring a bad person, that's your business. And it is what is called, in law, it's called these are political questions. And the courts do not delve into such questions. But the 2010 and the recent act in place gives the Federal High Court the jurisdiction to be able to resolve issues where a party, instances where certain grounds where a political party fails to conduct primaries, the party can be lawfully excluded, or that a political party puts it in its constitution that this is what we are going to do, and they fail to do it at a primary election. Any aspirant in that election has the local standard to challenge that at the Federal High Court. Or if a candidate files in fake papers, forged papers in his affidavit of personal particulars, an aspirant can challenge that, issues of forgery and all that, putting in documents to aid your qualification. An aspirant can challenge that, and the Federal High Court now has jurisdiction to look at those issues. But if you appreciate the current law against the backdrop of what the history has been, 1963, 1979, 1999, even 2003, then you will say that at least there's been some reasonable progress in curbing the arbitrary powers of party leaders, where they just act arbitrarily. A case in point is that of Amechi, the case of Amechi in Rivers State, where he won the primary election. And then there was this clause that says, before you can substitute a candidate, you must give cogent and verifiable reasons. And that was what shook Nigerians to say, look, something can be done about the powers of political parties. But the locus classicus in this case is, I think it's the 1979, is it 79-83 matter, Onuaha against Okafo, where the Supreme Court said we have no business in how political parties decide those who bear their flag, because these are political questions, and as a court we cannot condescend to get involved in how political parties choose. So
it's more like saying they've trimmed their wings presently.
They don't want to get involved. It's not our business. We are a voluntary organization. Go and if you want to mess yourself up, go and do it, but we have no business. That's why political parties can screen, can even deny you from contesting on their platform, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't go to a court for anything. You can't go to court to activate any judicial to say, court, help me. I bought the form 100 million naira, but they screened me out. No court will hear you. That's the state of the law. You understand? That's how it is. So it's the hard reality is out there, and the issue of money globally, running political parties is quite expensive. It's an expensive adventure. If you look at we have 704 local governments. We have over 200,000 polling units. So imagine the logistics of managing an election, getting party agents across all these pollings and all that. So the issue of individuals who sit back and say they don't have money. What about crowdfunding? What about putting 1,000, 10,000 naira together and say, look, can we come together? And what about donations? The law allows people to donate to political parties. All those who are saying there's no money, that's why people are not contesting, that's why good people have not emerged. How many of those people listening to us today have ever contributed to an aspirant?
Question.
Have you ever given 1,000 naira or 10,000 naira to anybody that you think this man is good? The first thing we say when we see someone contesting is, does he have the money? Even if he doesn't have the money, and we feel that this is the person that is competent, credible,
support
him. Ask for his bank account, of his campaign bank account, and send 1,000 naira, send 100 naira.
But you won't blame people when people don't really trust people any longer when it comes to money, because over time, especially Nigerians, our trust have been trampled on. Okay, I have a caller. Hello, good evening. Please go on with your comments.
Okay.
Hello, Barnabas. If you're there, please go on.
I want to comment on what he said. Political lords were given the absolute powers to bring on board who becomes whatever. But I want to say it is an error if you look at it. Some few individuals taking part in making decisions that affect everybody in the country without being challenged by the court, constituted by the land. That should be revisited, please.
All right, thank you, Barnabas, for that.
Okay. Can I respond to Barnabas?
Hello, Barnabas, are you still there? Okay, let's go on with the conversation. You can please react.
Barnabas says an error. What is a voluntary organization? Political parties are voluntary organizations, but registered and recognized by the Constitution and empowered to be the only platforms where citizens can contest elections, right? A voluntary organization can decide to do anything. And if you think that what the political party is doing, if you think you don't like it, you leave the political party. That's why people resign from political parties. Peter Obi recently resigned from his political party and joined another one. So there's freedom of association. It's like an NGO, largely. So political parties are like glorified NGOs. It's a non-governmental organization. It operates at the whims and caprices of its members. When the members meet and decide to say this is what we want to do, what will you do?
Nothing.
If you don't like it, you leave the party. If you go to court and say, okay, let me use the example of a church system, like you have a denomination. A denomination can decide to say we are going to fast today. The leaders of the church say we are going to fast for 10 days. And then you as a member say, I don't want to fast. If you don't want to fast, it's your choice. And if you say, I don't like the way we fast in this church, then you go to a church where you can fast the way you want to fast. That's how I'm just trying to hit the nail on the head. That's how it operates. It's a voluntary organization. So, and few individuals, of course, some persons must lead. That's why, thank God for our constitution that allows for multi-party democracy. You understand? Where anybody freely can be involved. There are so many political parties. How many of us even know? I don't even know the number of political parties.
They're quite
of heart.
And they're still, we're having new parties still coming up.
So there are options. There are options. But you see, the thing is that we Nigerians always want ready-made things. We don't want to walk the system. We want everyone to what we
achieve
call
what someone else have
popular political parties. Everybody wants to be involved in the two major political parties. I know it's difficult to start from the scratch, but if, for example, if you look at let me even address the younger people in this country. If you look at the voting strength of the young people in Nigeria, they can decide to go to a strange political party and completely change the narrative.
But possibly, maybe the reason why we're having that is because looking at creating a new party and actually do you stand to actually, like to be upright? What chance do you have when we have other bigger parties, permit me to use that word, because we're already having especially two giants presently, and any other party tends to be like, it's just a minority party, and you don't stand the chance to make any difference, because we're saying we want to change the narrative. We're saying that the future of Nigeria is important, and so no matter who you are, you have an influence to actually change the narrative. What possibilities? Because you rightly stated, enough of the laments, and it's high time we come up and see what can we do. But I think the reason why we're having people refusing, or they want the already made parties, is because you stand a higher chances over there than starting from the little minority party that possibly you're not really recognized in Nigeria when it comes
to. Let me come in. You stand a higher chance. You want to come and reap where you did not sow. I'm putting it the other way. You don't want to pay the price, and you don't want the party leaders to decide who run their party. Go and start your party. Go and get involved in another political party and build the party from ground. You understand my point? I'm talking this way to jolt us out of our docility. To say, look, let's rise up and get involved in this process. If 10,000 people come together and donate 10,000 naira each, do you know how much that is? It's big money. If I have friends, a circle of friends, my family and all that, I should be able to influence 20 people. If you influence 20 and we all influence 20, do you know how much that will turn out to? The number of people that will turn out to. If we decide to say, look, this is the party we want to vote for, and we tell people, and everybody takes care of his own household. We have handsets, we have social media, we have platforms that were not there before, that we can mobilize, that we can crowdfund. I think that the problem is physical laziness and even intellectual laziness. If you claim that you are an intellectual and that you have the solution to the problems of this country, start by devising political means or creative means where persons who don't have money can mobilize themselves to get the right persons into office. At every election cycle, Nigerians have an idea of the kind of person they want to lead them. And when we see them, we know them. But unfortunately, we're the ones who come and say they don't have money. They don't have money. And you think that
you have the money, why don't you sponsor them?
Why don't you support them? That's one. And then why don't you come out and vote them? Why do we allow ourselves to be circumscribed, to be manacled, to be boxed into a corner and limited to 1, 2, 3 political parties? So whatever they give us, we don't have a choice because we're addicted to their logos.
True.
That's what I'm saying.
True.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I don't want us to, because if we keep talking about delegates and attacking delegates, we will not solve the problem. We will come back again in 2027 and talk about delegates are collecting money. Unfortunately, collecting money is bribe. It's bribery, and it's against our laws. Undue influence, duress, threatening people to vote a particular way, whether on religious grounds or tribal grounds, monetary inducement or threat of harm. It's all against our laws. These are all against our laws. But do we have the structure, the system to be able to enforce these laws? That's what I'm saying. We don't have, unfortunately, you go to certain conventions, you just see 3, 4 staff of INEC monitoring the election. And people go there with bullion vans. Does INEC doesn't have the power of enforcement. Can INEC make arrest?
No.
So you see, at the end of the day, we are just boxed into a corner where people who are listening, who feel that they are smarter than those who are running the system, should devise creative means of resolving the problem. They say necessity is the mother of invention. So those who are listening, who are not happy, who are disturbed that
need to break free and do something.
Nigeria is not making progress. Sit down and develop applications. This was done in Kenya, where the young people, created this crowdfunding platform, and they donated money and supported their candidates. It's something that we must do.
We can
because
learn.
For as long as we keep just talking and saying delegates, these delegates, the law says, for example, a political party constitution can say our delegates will emerge from wards. Each ward will have 3 ad hoc delegates. Are you now going to say that, okay, because in a particular village, the political party members have their register there. They have a register of members who pay dues to that political party monthly or yearly, right? They might be 20, they might be 30, they might be 40, they might be 1,000. They can decide to come and say, okay, look, we want to elect ad hoc delegates to go to a convention, and they pick and they select 3 people, and these 3 people come to that convention. The concern of those 3 people is the interest of that ward, the interest of the 200 members who elected them to go to that convention. So if we feel that the people are illiterate, or we feel they are not educated enough, and they go and decide and push and throw up candidates that do not, then please go and register in your ward and be a member of the political party.
And change
so that when the political party calls for a meeting to say we are supposed to elect 3 ad hoc delegates who will go and represent us, then you, the intelligentsia, the experienced person, the master's PhD holder, should be able to go to that meeting. Put fuel in your car and go to your village and go to that meeting and say, look, we are going to pick 3 ad hoc delegates, and influence them and talk to them and explain to them why they need to send people who cannot be bribed. But we sit in the urban centers, be watching television, be enjoying ourselves, and delegates come from all over the country or all over the state, and they decide what we don't like. And we keep talking. We have been talking for years. So let's get involved.
Yes,
please put a full tank in your car and go to the village and find out what's happening. Who is the chairman of your ward? I challenge all those who are watching now. Who is the chairman of the political parties in you? Who are the chairman of the political? Who is the chairman of PDP? Who is the chairman of APC? Who is the chairman of Labour Party in your ward?
With that, you will know. Well, we have a comment on Facebook. I would like to take that, and this is coming from Solomon David. He said, "I'm watching the program now. The fate of Nigerians is in the hands of the delegate. My simple answer is yes." And we have, I think that's the only comment we have on Facebook for now. Well, our time is quite spent, and I actually hope we can actually, you know, we've done justice to enlightening the viewers and also letting people know it's not about lamenting in your house. It's not about changing the station, but it's about being active in politics. Yes. You said it. Fuel your car, go to your various local government, your wards, and know what is happening there. What can I influence? What can I change? You think you have the knowledge, then why don't you put that knowledge to work? It's not about having the certificate or knowing everything about it, but be actively involved and change the narrative. Well, thank you so much for doing this with us here. And this is a wrap on the program National Talk. Really thank you for all our callers and all our supporters, and also to Solomon who dropped his comment on Facebook. Remember, you can change the narrative you're complaining about. It's not about going on social media, but it's about being active and change the narrative. And also remember to get your PVC, because that is the first step you can take, making sure that you change whatever you are not happy about that is taking place. Until I come your way again next week, do have a blessed weekend again, and goodbye for now.